Hello, Joseph. Let's have a look into your work. Now we're talking about new durations, not the old CPM schedule, but RCP. I mean, regarding the resource limits and constraints. We have to start with banana curve. I think you got the idea. You must know what this curve means. That we have as soon as possible schedule, as we see here on your work. And we also have as late as possible schedule. That means that you may show the ASAP schedule, and you also may represent by setting Gantt setting, asking to showing primary ALAP as late as possible schedule, and some ghost bars will appear here on the right, removing links. You see that we have an option to work as soon as possible or to work as late as possible. If you work as late as possible, of course, the money you spend, it will be at the last moment, not at the first moment. So the idea, as it shows in João's work, if you saw the video, if you watched the video, you see that these ghost bars shows you that you have a free float or a total float. You are using your total floats, taking risks in advance to start your work, but the critical path won't be affected by this behavior. The bananas curve means that when you go through project cycle life during the performance development, you should always be between ALAP and ASAP curve in order to be well managed work. You have done your mode 59, and there is project schedule. Project schedule what? Project schedule? No. Materials arrive. Materials arrive schedule. Something strange happened here. Material arrive schedule. This is expected to be seen on when is the 59? When is the 60? It is expected to have a layout here. Equipment and labor, resource schedule, equipment and labor. Materials schedule. Where is? Probably should be this one. This layout. But if you remember, you have to make I know. View diagram, resource diagram. Here, mode 60. GR mode 60. Okay, GR mode 6, because it is for resource Gantt of resource. Okay, I can see resource here. There is a red one. Why do we have a red one? Oh, because you have colors. It's, I remember now. You decide to change the color. Select the four. This reddish color here means that the resource is over allocated, but there is no over allocation here. Helper works in these activities as well. Assembler work on these activities. This layout helps us to understand where the resource is working for. Resource, truck for transportation, and a helper here means the amount of, what? The amount of quantity. You could also see in helpers the amount of hours. Diagram, resource, helper, hours, resource hours. Not cumulative, but just to see week by week. Detaching values, detaching or showing values. Increasing the height, taking off decimal plates, here not day by day, but instead, okay, maybe day by day. Here we have 40 assembler, 40 helpers, 40 drivers, but we need, according to our schedule, not our, but according to your schedule, you need 18 assemblers and 36 helpers. Where is it? 24, 36. Okay. The peak here is 36, but you have 40 units. If I decrease these two quantities into 30 and calculate again, you're not only just seeing the reddish color here automatically because helper has some over allocation periods, and the period is here. You have 30 helper as a limit, but the calculation needs or show you that you need 36. 6 helpers is needed here. It is over allocated. Helper is over allocated in these periods on your schedule. What does it mean that this schedule is possible? View diagram activity. This schedule here. This schedule is possible, but it's not feasible because you do not have enough helpers to accomplish the work to be done. That's the reason that in Unit 4 we ask for resource constraint scheduling. I advise to use standard just for studying, standard and resource. You will detach the resource you have an over allocation periods as well helper. If you do this, Spider will change the start of some activities that use helpers in order to take these overlocated units into some availability place, into some availability periods. If you have people, 3 people here, you may reschedule activities that are asking for too many helpers into another time. Let's try it. Not advanced, not everybody. You just need to level helper efforts. Okay, there is no overallocation. You have 30, but you are just using 26. But the most important thing is my finished target dates, my finished project dates was changed. The baseline shows you that some activities have moved into the future, but the baseline is still accomplishing the actual schedule. No threaten into project's finish dates. Okay, possible to be done, but not feasible. The red line means the limits. The green area shows you the availability that you are not using. You are paying probably for these efforts work stuff, but you are really using just the blue bars one. If you compare the green area with the blue area, you see that your availability, not availability, the people are much too free and not to be involved in work. Okay, GR36, I don't know what you have GR36, but mode 60 is done. Back to Gantt. We have material. Let's see if the next layout is 70. Mode 70. Where is mode 70? Material schedule. Material arrive schedule. That's 105. I cannot find your mode 70. Material schedule. Showing, okay, 65, okay, it's 65 for resource guns. 65, where is 65 here? Probably, no. That's for resource and equipment, but not for material. Okay, for material, we must look for view, diagrams, material guns with control presses, material guns, that's not, oh, material schedule, oh, I found it in material schedule. Of course, should be GM, okay, GM material schedule. It's just a question of looking at the right place. Blocks, and we're asked to make some information here. There is material guns, codes, name, supply, consumption, units, type, start, okay. If I see your graphs, water, 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 just water. Is this just for water? A graph just for water? Let me see here. GM, okay, looking for, what is it? I'm looking for through the handbook. Okay, I'm not sure if it's just water, but anyway, you have made a graph for water income, 20,000 liters each first week, okay. And expenditure means the consume of water. Consume from water. From water. All the activities that use water. It's a mess here. I will make some sort by column, start column, just to make it more presentable. I mean, first things first. Okay, everybody drinks water. Every activity needs water to wash blocks or something there, something like this. And even landscape needs 3,000 liters. 3,000 liters, okay. I saw it. And if you have income and output, you may have stock control. Let's see parameters. Cumulative water, but I think just for a didactic way to show it, revenue must be shown as positive. I mean, that is, the stock will be positive. It's a good thing. The stock will be blue. I like blue color. You may use another color just for a didactic idea. You have water and you spend water. There, okay, it receives more water and it will be decreasing during the periods. The question is, Joseph, you finish your work with about 90,000 liters. Probably we should rethink about how many liters. What is water? Water. How many liters? Water. How many liters we are receiving? Water. Okay, I will filter just to make it easy. Equal water. Assignment contains water. Okay, you are seeing the water income here specifically filtered, but instead of receiving too much water, I think, oh, I want to be able to do this. Here, supply, teleconsumption, fix it. I try to see it. Supply, consumption, supply. No, I won't see it here. Because you fix it 20,000 liters, but you look for activity guns, specifically water, logistic, water, fixed, water, quantity. You could change it here. Not, of course, the exercise asked you to use this value. But I mean, when you compare the value you set for incomes, it will last a lot of liters at the end of projects without being used. So here is the place where you can fix your income, just not for water, but also for diesel. Okay, you reached the goal because you made your graphics in a specific material schedule mode. And material schedule mode is inside material guns, as well as resource schedule resource schedule, equipment and resource schedule was made inside resource guns. Okay, let's have a quick look to next layout. Well, in guns, in activity guns. Next layout means 105. Where is your mode 100? It was expected to be seen here. Where is it? A feasible and possible. Possible and feasible guns. There is no hundreds. Oh yes, I found it. It's out of order. Okay, I will make it a bit more interesting. Asking for layouts, control pressed, and I will move 100 before 105. Okay, 26. I will move to it's a new position before 26B. Before 26B, okay. Let's check. 100. Possible and feasible. Code, name, notes, priority, do plan, finish. Where does it start? Where does it start? Start, finish, ASAP, ALAP. That's interesting here. When you schedule as soon as possible, this reason of delay should not be appearing here, should not be shown here. I mean, activity direct works, let's read it. Activity direct work starts, calendar, why this activity is scheduled for these dates, start and finish dates, because some constraints was applied to them, to the activity or to the activities. But imagine if you detect the overallocation in helper and decide to solve it by redistributing activities during the time. So the resource helper will be leveled in order not to have any overallocation on it. It was cleaned, the reason of delay was cleaned, and in these activities that were rescheduled, you may understand the reason they were rescheduled by the spider. Helper 7 days. Resource helper was not available, so this activity was rescheduled in 7 days. Activity floor, okay, activity leg, let's see here, okay. Activity floor, type finish, not because the helper, but because other logic links. Activity. So helper moved just one activity. All the others seems to be moved because they're logic links. There is a lab, okay. A lab was applied here, so this activity have not started as soon as possible. The reason of delay or the reason of the scheduled time, scheduled dates. Probably the helper was overallocated somewhere but the only action a spider took was moving just one activity, and all the others fitted well with its overallocation problem. Let's see resource control, view resource control presets. 30. Imagine if I have an assembly with just 10 assemblers instead of 12 assemblers. I would keep my team with just 10 assemblers. If I ask to level my assemblers and helpers, the schedule should be different. Not should, it will be different. And reasons of delay will be shown here. The activities here were rescheduled, but again, helper, resource helper was the first reason here. Again, helper is the problem here. As soon as you solve a helper problem, that seems to me that assembler problem was automatically solved. The problem, the critical resource seems not to be the assembler, but the helper in this project. And if you look for your critical path, you will find it the exact same way it was, because the problem of resource was solved because there was a really big gap here. This gap was due to these constraints. Somebody will just arrive in the future, a distant far future. Okay, I'll have to find another mode. Materials arrive schedule. Where is it here in the handbook? Okay, yes, because you have to map your materials and the time it arrives, amount that you will arrive at the sites, the time, the amount of the quantity. I decided to use 1 hour, but if you are expecting to have 1 day diesel arriving time, you may fix it 1 day here. Of course, if you have diesel on the April 1st, you will be able to start just on April 2nd, because you lasted 1 day just to receive your fuel. But if you make it an hour, or if you fix it as a minute, an instant, it will come immediately on April 1st, and in the first hour of April 1st, it will be possible for you to work with or to use this diesel. Let's make it 1 hour. Okay, you made your work here. You could collapse all the work in order just to make detached this logistic. Okay, 105, 100 balance in out for diesel and water. parameters: diesel, cash flow, stock flow, expand or show rev. Okay, if you have positive and blue colors, that means you may run your schedule. But if you do not have diesel, as it is shown here, means that you are receiving less diesel than you need. The site who want to work on these periods with no diesel, no work, even if you rest your projects with 5,000 liters on stock. You have to have your diesel at the right time, not just having your diesel. Okay, diesel supply, positive colors, diesel consumption, you represented here by negative. Okay, positive means receiving, the negative means consuming. The same for water, no problem with water here. So the work or the projects won't stop because the lack of water, but it will not occur because the lack of diesel. 115. What is 115? Adjust scenario for adjust scenarios of project materials. Adjusted. What is adjusted? Okay. Just to show that the water and the diesel. We use it histogram. Yes, you also, but according to the picture, I think we should have here water. Sorry, parameters: water and water baseline to be compared. Okay, I do not have your baseline because I have to use the same folder. I cannot use the same folder as you use it. I have to use my folder in my machine. Okay. Okay. Now, parameters, water, and water from baseline. That's what we should see in your graphic. Baseline means gray. The blue color is now schedule, our actual water consumption, and the gray line should be our baseline consumption. As histograms are not so easy to see lines when they are one over another, I think you could use columns. That's a better way to look for here. Baseline is higher than actual consumption here. That's the points here. Baseline was higher on June and June. Okay. The same thing for diesel. Parameters, diesel, the parameter baseline. Okay. As well, they are one over the other. It's confusing our understand. Okay, we change it into columns again. The blue one is our diesel consumption, and the pink one is not pink. Okay, let's change pink into grayish color, gray color, because grayish colors means baselines. The baseline and the actual consumption here are red because we know that diesel is a problem. Water is not a problem, but diesel is. Okay, you have to fix it. Baseline and the parameter. 120, adjust scenario. My God. The histogram mode was the unique mode we had in the past, but now we have stacked and columns. And I think it's better to see. In the picture, mode 120, we should see two graphs, helpers and helpers. Let's see. We just have one. Oh my God, it's a bug. Okay, there is just one graphic below. Helper quantity, assembler quantity, and truck quantity. Okay, one of the intended graphics is here. But let's see, parameters, helper quantity, not cumulative. Let's see if it is a okay, leveling because no, not cumulative. Okay, not cumulative by week. It's not written here if it is week or not week or month, but according to the picture, it seems that's for week. As I told you, histograms with red lines and different colors, one over the other, is not so easy to read. Nowadays we have the possibility to show it as columns, and this makes things better. We can see here that assembler, the green one's assembler, it's over allocated, and helpers to assembler and helpers are over allocated. If I ask Spider to level them, resource, helpers, and assemblers. I think I made something wrong last previous comments. Okay, no more red colors, but baselines show us that a lot of activities were moved. You are comparing your project with baseline and with another project. I will delete comparison with another project. My God. I will delete with another project just to keep the baseline in focus. Okay, a lot of activities were moved for the future, and the dotted line here shows that they were moved because the reason of delay, because helpers and because assemblers. Resource assembler was the cause. Also assembler. The last comment I made to you was not correct. I made some balancing, leveling, but did not include, as you may note, the assembler. I've changed the assembler's quantity, but I had not included the assembler in the resource to be leveled here. Okay, resource assembler was responsible for this delay. Assembler 2, assembler, assembler, assembler. The critical resource, I may affirm you now, it was not helper. It is the assembler who's responsible for all the delay. But the critical path is preserved. And this graphic here, there should be two graphics here, but this graphic here shows you not by histogram, but by columns. Showed you that in the first idea, the possible was not feasible because too many reddish bars on our histogram. Instead of using columns, what happened if we use stacked columns? We would have quantity one over the other. Helpers as a base, assemblers as the middle, and trucks as the top of our graphic, stacked graphs. What does it mean? A different way to see our resource. But please note, when you use columns, you see the overallocation signals. When you use stacked columns, is just to show the amount of quantity you are using of each resource. If you level now, the picture will be different. The area is more uniform. All the areas are more uniform distributed. But please keep an eye here. No work here because somebody must be waited to start everything again. There is a gap here. But we expect to see two graphics. One for, I think, one for the 3 resource and one for helpers. Helpers quantity. Helpers quantity, and helpers quantity baseline. I think I made something better. Parameters, not diesel. Okay, I make it again. Works, properties, diagram, helper quantity. Okay, not cumulative, and not shown revenue as positive. Okay, quantity and baseline quantity, but making these colors baseline, as I always say, it's grayish colors. Baseline and the blue one are the actual schedule and use. I will change it into columns to make it easier to be shown. Okay, helpers are over allocated here in baseline, but not now. If I ask for the CPM schedule, original CPM schedule, the possible way to make this project, we will have actual exactly the same, the baseline, that is CPM schedule. We can compare if you run resource constraint schedule, and we will see that in the old time, baseline time, we use 36 with just 30 helpers, and now we are using 13 with 30 as the limit. It's not just the possible projects to be done, but also the feasible one without affecting or disturbing the critical path. Okay, Joseph, you must watch the John's evaluation video to make some new information. Any question, please ask me.